off!
Oh, Halo 1, how I remember you. It's been 20 years since the inception of the original Xbox, and Halo was one of the first big launch titles. Not to get into the entire history, but before Halo, Bungie was on the brink of collapse due to a glitch from Myth 2, where the game would be erased from the directory. The issue wouldn't have been a problem if it was still in development, but the game had already been sold and distributed. When the glitch was found, Bungie had to recall every copy of the game, which cost them $800,000. Bungie at the brink of collapse called Microsoft for acquisition, and Xbox head, ya boy Ed Fries, appointed them less than 1 year to create a launch title for the original Xbox. At this time, Halo was an RTS and a collection of ideas and concepts that would eventually be turned into the game that we know as today due to lots of financial cutbacks and having a clear set goal for the project. As the game came out, it gained favorable reviews. And did you know Halo was used primarily as the Xbox's mascot before it was the official mascot? The original mascot was the Mario killer Blinks the cat. The only reason why Master Chief was plastered on Xbox boxes and other marketing items was because Microsoft at the time thought the color of Master Chief really resonated with the Xbox brand. And honestly, who knew that within 20 years, Halo would still be Microsoft's biggest franchise of today. But damn, that Halo launch, am I right, boys? It was amazing. It was a time to be alive. To see the crowd's reaction for a game that looks so realistic. When people got their hands on the games, they were like, is this life? Am I real? What is going on? People were screaming, oh, who are they? Look, I don't know anything about the Halo launch. Because I'm a Zoomer, baby! So here I am playing Halo for the first time ever. Okay, so that's a bit of a lie. When I was 6 or younger, I remember playing Halo on our home PC. But I remember nothing about it outside of being stuck on the second level and never passing it. Anyways, knowing Halo Infinite is coming out in less than a month, myself and my friend are planning to play through each installment on Legendary with controllers for the real Halo experience. So I might not be able to review the game as it comes out, but I'll eventually get to it. So 17 years later, after beating Halo CE, what does a Zoomer think? Well, this is perhaps the first and last time I will ever play this game. Honestly, I enjoyed it, but this game is not that good, and I just don't get it. The story starts with the fall of Reach and with Master Chief waking up and finding the ship the Autumn being destroyed by the Covenant, who is after an AI the ship possesses. Heading towards the ship's captain, he gives you the AI who is named Katana. They entrust Chief to look after her and make sure the Covenant don't get their hands on her, as she possesses Earth's homeworld location, but also details on the Halo rings. After telling you this, Chief and Katana and a few other Marines of the ship leave the Autumn as is heading into the unknown. With no answers, Chief and Katana go forth and find what's so special about the rings and what power they possess. At first glance, this game is awesome. In the newer old graphics, this game looks amazing. 343 did a really stellar job of recreating areas in the game to ensure that the vision of Bungie was still intact, while also adding their own flair. Seeing the ship in the first mission as you're going from hallway to hallway being destroyed is awesome. I love the destructive nature that the game shows, and seeing the Covenant flanking and fighting human soldiers is cool, and adds a lot to humanity's struggle to survive, knowing they almost have no chance of survival, but insisting on fighting is admirable. But when in combat myself, it's a strange feeling. The reason for that is because the physics are weird. So while the game looks really good, the physics are of the old Xbox version where everything feels floaty. Now I can't blame 343 for this, as this is just a remaster, so of course they won't change everything, but it does feel out of sync sometimes. Guns feel spongy, movement can feel like Master Chief is on ice skates, zip-zapping around. Aiming feels like you have to calculate and plan ahead before you do an action. This is what it felt like to me, at least for the first few levels. It was very annoying. But it was never a massive issue, as I definitely just needed time getting adjusted to it, as after those early levels, the game became easier. But going from modern FPSs like Borderlands 2, which I'm playing currently on Twitch, to Halo CE was a big learning curve. And once I did get used to it, the game did start to feel more natural. Well, somewhat at least. As for the combat, it really did evolve gaming as a whole. Before Halo, in every single FPS, you could carry as many guns as you wanted. A lot of game companies would have never taken the risk of only allowing 2 weapons. This was one of the biggest features of Halo and a massive risk at the time. And in my opinion, it was for the better and it paid off really well. It really set a precedent for strategy, and there was a lot more of a connection between you and the guns you carry. But also there was a desirable aspect knowing you couldn't just whip out your rocket launcher at any time, but it could only be used if you had it on you. But as for the guns themselves, they're not balanced at all. When I and my friend were playing, we stuck to the pistol and pulse rifle. Not that the other guns were bad, but there's definitely a balancing issue with some of the guns, which led the experience to be a little stale. Like, why does the shotgun do all the damage, but the assault rifle does barely anything? Or why is it a pistol is so unbelievably strong? Like, this doesn't make any sense. As for the AI though, they're crazy. For a game that was in 2001, I love the AI behavior. They're not dumb, but instead all of them are programmed in a way to simulate the inhabitants of this world. And having played games from 2001 and games from previous years, a lot of them have brain dead AI. But Halo is special. The AI act like they belong to this world. All the enemies you fight have different strategies and plans on how they attack, and it's really cool. Grunts look for groups and refuse to fight you one-on-one. If confronted, they run away and try firing from afar. Elites will charge at you with all their might and attack mindlessly. Unless feeling threatened, they will hide until necessary. Jackals are hunters or sneaksters who will hide behind a shield, and once broken, they run away waiting for them to recharge. And this is just a handful of the basic enemies that you fight. And as the series evolves, they become bigger and better and evolve naturally, and it's so cool. But I was surprised to find out the Flood was a part of this game, as the first time I ever encountered them came from Halo 3, where I had no idea what the hell they were or where their origins come from, but knowing and learning about them now felt very alien-like, and the way they attack is very different from everybody else. They try to flood you. And it's so cool, it's so rad. Halo CE also introduced some of the vehicles that would reoccur, and oh boy! They do feel different from what I know. The ghosts are so unnaturally floaty, they're crazy. When in one, you just spinning right round, baby. They have no weight to them, the axis feels so wrong. It's better to run on foot than it is to ever get in one, it's terrible. That being said, this game brought one of the best vehicles of all time, the Puma.
This is the M12 LRV. I like to call it the Warthog.
I think it looks more like a Puma.
Simmons, I want you to poison Griff's next meal.
Yes, sir.
So unless anybody has any more mythical creatures to suggest as a name for the new vehicle, we're gonna stick with the Warthog.
Sorry, I mean, the Warthog. The Warthog is one of the best vehicles of all time in gaming. Take away Slim Jim.
You have a Warthog. The Warthog is the most precious and vulnerable piece of machinery you can buy. It holds 4 seats, just enough for the whole family. Mom, Dad, Jimmy, and Timmy all have a place in the Warthog. You can go into any terrain. Sand, grass, dirt, rocks. And that's not all. Go beyond, drive into the unknown, anywhere you want, literally anywhere. Want to take the family into comfort and hold and take out the sons of bitches? Be my guest. A celebrity superstar Vin Diesel, famed for Bloodshot, will say,
I don't have friends. I got family.
So what are you waiting for? Bye.
Thanks, Slim Jim. In all honesty, whenever the Warthog would show up, it would always feel like a blessing. It handles the best, it has the best speed, it doesn't feel super weird, and because this game has no damage, it's really fun to go around and to destroy whomever and whatever in your path. Everything about it is so good. And before I get my most heated part of the review, the levels, I want to talk about the Halo story. Halo Combat Evolved story feels natural and progressive for the series as a whole. This game definitely sets up events and characters that will change along the course of the franchise, and I honestly don't remember much from the later games, but I am excited. As for the game's story, it's largely forgettable and just meh. There's nothing to write home about. It is good for what it is and how it shapes the future of the games, but this one is just okay. I do like a large part of this game is setting up and explaining the Halo rings, but outside of that, the story is forgettable. There really isn't much to even talk about because it's very simple, and the later games then expand upon this story some more. What I did find most interesting was that with the characters, Master Chief had a big role, but at the same time, it feels like he was just starting out in terms of a character. He's quite mediocre, there's not much to him. He doesn't act like what I imagined him to be, especially as in the later games he's calm and collected, untrusting of what anyone just tells him at all, or running somewhere confused with no context just because Katana tells him to.
Stop the captain.
Keys?
The weapons cache is
He's like, he's such a bitter man. He's getting interrupted by her constantly.
Dude, he seems so
There's no
lost.
time. Get out of here, find keys, stop
He's like, wait, what? I run? Okay.
What? Hold up! Huh. It's just weird seeing him like this. As for Katana, she's really cocky and sarcastic in this game, which I found very amusing. And I like that a lot. She has a bulk of the personality of anyone from this game. So with everything positive out of the way, where does the game truly fail? Well, that would be the level design. Oh boy. The levels are bad. From the very beginning of my playthrough, my biggest criticism from Halo came from the level design. They suck. I can't stand how bad some of the levels become. The first few levels are fine. I would argue the first half of the game is good. But after the halfway point, the game starts to fall apart with some of the worst levels in an FPS I've ever seen. Let's start with level 2. The level itself is fine and it's quite grand in scope, but it's repetitive. You do the same objective 4 times in a row, just in different areas. It also doesn't help that those 4 areas look the exact same. It also doesn't help that you need the Warthog to go around those 4 areas, because if you lose the Warthog like me and my friend did, then you're gonna be walking everywhere, only then to reset everything, because the game doesn't just give you a Warthog from the get-go. What makes a level so bad? Well, this is what you do. You take the Warthog, you go to the area, check the area, find the Marines, help them, take out the Covenant, make sure every single one is dead, otherwise it doesn't count, and then go and redo that for the next 3 areas. It's so long and tedious. I want to talk more about it, but damn, this game has some bad levels. Level 5. The mission everybody tells me is so good. The Silent Cartographer. Honestly, it's okay. I don't get the hype. Once again, you do the same thing. The only difference is that you're on a beach. You go in, you find a base, and you do something in the base, and then head back to the Pelican, and that's it. The level itself is really cool, and the way it's designed, I enjoy it a lot, but a lot of it's spent indoors. I just wish majority of it was outside on the beach itself, because I found that to be the best part about it. Anyways, moving on. Level 6. Assault on the Control Room. This level is so goddamn long, where you have to go through multiple areas doing the same bullshit, and most of the objectives is once again go through the amazing outside world into a shitty building, kill everyone inside the building before moving into another area where you have to go through a bridge that's covered with enemies, only to then end up back in another building redoing the same gobbledygook they've been doing for the last 30 minutes. God damn it. And oh boy, we're on level 7. This is actually where the game starts to regain hope. That's right, this level is awesome. Well, somewhat. The first half is shrouded in mystery, where you end up in a forest looking for a building, where apparently the Covenant have been experimenting on something, not knowing what, and with Katana's nonsensical babbling, Chief hurries and locates the building. Entering it, we have no idea what's going on. Just as you explore, you notice the airiness the level brings, with no Covenant or any sentient life. And as you reach a room, you find a soldier's dead corpse, where the Chief checks his cam and finds out that the thing the Covenant have been experimenting on killed them, and the rest of the soldiers that came here are trapped somewhere else. This level is actually so cool with just how it sets up the flood. There's not even much to say. I love this level. The only downside I can say is it's too short, and once again you spent indoors. The outside forest was probably the coolest part. Also, 3v3's visual upgrade to this level was probably the worst of the whole game. I would argue it kind of got rid of the airiness that this level brought. I think the original Bungie version is actually one of the best for this level. And just when I think the game's getting better, right, it doesn't get better. I think I can speak for everyone. Fuck the library. This level is so bad. What is so simple is also the worst. In the level, all you have to do is survive the oncoming hordes of the flood as you progress through the level. Easy. The problem with this level is the flood are like zombies. They keep coming, and unlike zombies, they carry weapons. And they have the craziest aim of any of the AI, like holy shit. With the flood comes a shotgun, and in their hands is a goddamn sniper rifle. The flood carrying weapons wouldn't be so much a problem if the library wasn't such a long level. It also makes the player wait for areas to open up, so you can't keep moving. You have to hold out in scenarios where the flood are just drowning the player with bullets. It also doesn't help that the level looks boring. Every area is the same, and just when you think you're done, the game goes, psych! Here's more of that level. The level sucks. It sucks so hard. Levels 8, 9, and 10 all have the same problem that the previous levels had. They're repetitive and they go on for far too long, and they could have just been shortened. But the game turns it all around. The game turns it around, baby. Level 10 is the climax of the game, and if I was there at the launch of Halo and I got to the ending, it would be so sick. This level is a callback to the first level, and seeing the aftermath of the autumn after it's being destroyed and everything is really cool. And then you have the part where you have to destroy those bunker things, and then you get to go onto the Warthog, and then you do the first ever Warthog run. It's so sick. And that's unfortunately where the game ends, just when it was about to get so sick again. Chief and Katana make their way towards space. Chief says one of the sickest lines and predicts the future of Halo.
No, I think we're just getting started.
And damn, he was right. Yeah, this level turned around. This level is actually really cool. And as that ends, I'm gonna give the gameplay overall a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but I don't think it's the best thing ever either. I think it also works because half of the game was bad and half of it was good. Overall, what do I think of this game though? I think this game is perfectly fine for what it is, especially at the time when it came out, which was 20 years ago. I think it was really good. Looking through it with modern eyes, I think this game is just okay. For a Zooan like myself, I don't think I ever want to go back and replay it until I forget everything about it. The controls were the biggest learning curve, and the levels were one of the worst things ever. However, that being said, playing this game with a friend was very fun. I can't imagine what this game would be like playing by myself. I would hate it way more. In any case, that's it for me. Trash boat, not trash boat, change my name, it's Trash Things, baby. I was gonna say Trash Boat King of Filth, but it's Trash Things King of Filth. I'm gonna add that. I like the King of Filth part. Alright, do take care and see everybody.